Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is Frieren, Season 1, Episode 11. What happened last time?
Last time, Frieren killed that demon lady that I can't remember her name.
That's not quite correct, but I don't want to say what happened at the beginning of the video or else we'll get demonetized. Because Frieren did some savagery last time to Aura. Mm-hmm. But, you know, they always deserve it. You know, they're demons after all. Right? Right, Flom? No, definitely no turnaround there. Definitely never gonna meet a demon over the course of this whole story who's nice.
I mean, I hope we don't.
I think we will. That's what I'm saying. I think we will. I think at one point it's like they're setting up for demons to be like a super evil thing, but I think at one point they'll tap into, because we've congratulated the story on like how demons aren't, you know, just evil. Mm-hmm. Or how demons are evil and that's good, and how they're not like, are we the monsters or are they the monsters? But I think at one point down the line, I think that we'll tap into that. I don't think that'll be the main thing. I like where they've taken demons as a concept, but I think we'll run into somebody who has a little empathy. There'll be an outlier probably, hopefully, because I fucking hate demons.
If you hate demons, leave a like, subscribe, check out our Patreon to get the uncut. Let's go.
Oh. Nice. Look at her learning about humans, learning about humanity. Oh, by the way, last time I said the whole theory about Flom like causing, like essentially killing all of Frieren's people. Upon rewatching, I don't think that's the case. But I wasn't that serious about the theory, kinda. I don't know. I kind of was. I was kind of hopeful.
That serious, guys.
I was more hopeful that that there would be some kind of twist to it, but it doesn't seem like there is. But I didn't really think that would be real. It's just, it would be really interesting if it was. Stop making faces over there. Oh, was that guy from the OP? I was just gonna think. Oh, never mind. What? Oh, was that him the whole time in the OP? Mm-hmm. It was?
I think so.
Oh shit. My bad. Thought it was somebody else. The music this episode is crazy. Is that his sons?
Look at that. And everyone in this town can live happily ever after again. Oh.
Imagine being like the landscaper and breaking into
Also,
the
why does the
throne room.
landscaper have like a double-sided axe?
Yeah. We don't have time for that. Thank you very much. We'll be on our way.
Friren's like, take your time. Don't mind if I
Yeah,
do.
I like the sound of that.
He looks like he's dead. Like he has like these giant cuts all over him.
Did you see their giant burgers? They had these sandwiches that were like the size of their head. Insert song, just like at the beginning of the episode, not during like a crazy moment. Just like, how long do they stay here? Like a week or two?
It's enough just to fix it up a little bit. That guy again.
Just like lurking in the shadows. New clothes. Oh, winter clothes.
Oh, I like that.
I love Japanese Adele. It's the best. Or is this just Millet? Millet? However you say it. I can't tell.
I like Frieren's scarf.
Already, I've been here for like a month and a half.
Frieren's like, back in my day, like, if you were made, you were made. It doesn't matter.
Some back alley doctor. That's barely anything, she says. Oasis.
She's just like, Frieren, why didn't we come here like in the summer?
Yeah,
what
is
you
this
doing?
timing?
Also, were those the best winter clothes they could get? Frieren,
No ear coverings.
You don't know any like magic to like imbue your outfit with warmth?
I mean, go into a blizzard like this, she probably knows some magic.
He's still thinking about that. How about just heat him up?
You mean carrying him by hand?
You mean you? And not Frieren? Yeah.
Are we going to be all right? There's still firewood.
Someone in there.
What is that? Is it a half elf?
He's like, Frieren, I'm not going in there. Stark.
Yeah, he's just exercising. What is Dio doing in this show? I think I said that about a different character, but it's actually him this time.
I feel like you guys could have easily prevented this.
He monked up.
モンクのクラフト聞いたことねえな。ある文句ってのは間違いねえだろ。スタルク、お前はここで休んでいろ。二人は食料を運ぶのを手伝う。近くに俺の荷車と積み荷がある。
Ah, shit.
この凍った食料もなんとかなるだろう。
I can't fully tell what this guy's deal is.
He's a monk.
Oh, well, what's he gonna do here? Is he gonna come with them?
I think that he's like, yeah, I think he's a monk. He's a religious guy. He's probably going to heaven.
ところでフリーレン、お前は俺のことを知っている。全然だろうな。俺もお前のことなんてこれっぽっちも知らん。その前は言いたいの。俺たちはエルフってことだ。
I was lurking in the woods before that.
Jesus Christ. Really? Why didn't you just stay in the city?
Yeah.
If you were gonna, yeah.
If you're gonna wait that long,
I guess
that's
they
crazy.
wouldn't know, but you know, there's always the chance that a blizzard's gonna blow you over.
フリーレンは信じていないんだな。この世界の長い歴史の中で実際に姿を現したことは一度もない。若いな。昔はそうだった。だが今はそこから女神様を信じている。いや、いてくれなきゃ困るんだよ。俺の成してきた偉業も正義も奴は皆死に。
How old is he?
だから俺は死んだら天国で女神様に褒めてもらうんだ。頑張った、クラフト。お前の人生は素晴らしいものだった。まあいい。お前の身の上を話せ。俺も話す。言うのなら女神様の代わりに俺がお前を褒めてやる。意外ですか？まさかハイターがこのきっと女神様も清く正しく生き褒めてくださることでしょう。酒を飲みながらこの生臭坊主は。あなたには褒めてくれる人はいますか？急にどうしたのさ。女神様を信じていないようなので、身の上を話していただき私が褒めますよ。だらだらと生きてきただけだよ。となんて何もない。常に魔力を制限しているのに血の滲むような努力の賜物に見えますが、それこそ人生をかけたような。気がついていたのしていると思っているんですか？面白い話じゃないよ。構いませんよ。それに高額のためにもなります。なんで？私の子供は魔法使いになるかもしれませんよ。僧侶は生涯独身でしょ。なんで女神様に仕える連中は変なやつが多いんだろうね。もう別のやつに褒めてもらったから。そうか。いい友人を持ったな。大臣賞。いや、その人はもう今は天国にいるよ。ならいずれ会えるな。
That's nice.
俺はこっちだ。何百年後かにまたな。
It's still kind of crazy that we just found this other elf dude randomly.
Yeah. Yeah, after we were just talking, like, I guess a few months ago at this point in the story. about
How there aren't any other elves around.
Yeah. What you think of that one?
I really liked that episode. It was just kind of nice. It was kind of chilled out. I didn't know what this elf guy was gonna do at first, but they literally just sat in this house with him for 6 months.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
I like how they left the town and they stayed there for a little bit.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
They
I just they
left the town. And
they
it was
left the
instantly
town
winter.
at the beginning of winter, and then like going into the
and then
northern
almost
lands.
died.
Yeah, if they were willing, like, you know, they ended up being stranded in this, and I mean, I guess they didn't foresee it, but I don't know how they, like, I feel like there would be some guides in the northern city being like, hey, if you're going like that far up, and also Frieren went, so she probably had.
Yeah,
some
she
experience I guess she probably just doesn't care. It's not a big inconvenience, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd rather get trapped for 6 months, like
In a town,
like not being able to go into the blizzard, than be stuck in the blizzard in a one-room cabin
with another dude. Like, he turned out to be fine, but
like you don't know who could be in there, you
Yeah.
know. And what if you didn't have that cart full of supplies for a whole winter, or for most of it? I'm sure they like hunted and stuff like that, but and obviously he was gathering and things, like he got all those berries and nuts and stuff. So
Yeah.
like they didn't fully subsist on what he had, but he didn't leave with a cart. So like you know, you're lucky that not only did you find a nice guy, but he was willing to share all of his shit.
Yeah.
It could have been you know, a guy who didn't have all that stuff and got desperate and then tried to kill you all, and then you'd have to kill a guy out in the wilderness.
Also, like,
It's sketchy running into people out in the wilderness.
The fact that Fern and Frieren somehow just like didn't have any good enough spells to like just keep them like
You'd
nice and toasty warm. Like,
you
of
figure
all
they'd
the
have
spells
like, yeah.
that you could have, you think that that'd be a basic one, and then Stark's like dying and Fern's like, and I love how Frieren's like, we'll have to carry him, and then just like keeps walking along with her little briefcase, and Fern is like carrying him.
I do like that they, you know, I'm sure they have stronger telekinesis spells, but it makes me think again of D&D, where there's like telekinesis, which is like a 3rd level, I think, spell, and then there's Mage Hand, which is a cantrip. And I think that's kind of the idea there, is like they could pick him up and carry him around, and they showed them doing that in the earlier in the episode. So then they answered why they're not doing that, of like the strong wind. So like it's strong enough if there's no wind to like carry him around.
Yeah.
But there's just because you're holding them with this telekinetic power
doesn't mean
they're
other
not.
elements
It's
can't-
very
yeah.
you know, it's elemental in nature, so it's like kind of the connection can get kind of fucked up. I kind of like that, like that they didn't just like. I like it because they didn't do the telekinesis earlier in the story, and then it comes up here, and they're like, maybe conveniently forget. It just the fact that they did it before, and then they tried that they couldn't do it right after, shows that there's intentionality into why they can't do it, and it's not just an accident. It's not the author forgetting, and it's not the author like, oh, I created a problem. Oh wait, I just remembered 20 chapters ago I did this thing to solve a similar problem. Well, I can't do that now because then I can't do the story I want. If you write it in intentionally, one after the other, then the audience can kind of follow you along, and you're on the same page, you know? Like, it just shows that it wasn't an accident. There's no room for it to be an accident. It's a choice for the writing and how the magic system works, and that's important. So, yeah.
And then this episode, we have a lot of, like, at the very first scene is Fern and Frieren, like, praying over all of the dead bodies of those guys. And then the whole, like, meeting up with the monk guy was kind of all about... I don't know, it's really interesting to see, like, the religious element in, like, in this story. Like, how we had it before with Eisen, how he didn't believe in that, and then kind of was like, well, I mean, I guess I might as well, essentially. Like, it's like, oh, if there's no way to know and it gives you comfort, then, why not do it?
Hyder was having a kind of crisis of faith at the end of his life, and then we meet Eisen, and then he was having issues of faith, and then adopted a human religion despite being a dwarf.
And it's clearly...
Or human religious practices. I'm sure there's, like, the overlap where it's like everybody believes in a different version of the same thing, but... I guess bringing it back with this guy is cool, like you said. Like,
how he's an elf, and I think it's like to Frieren. It's like it's almost like this thing of like, you have humans who have a natural want to believe in God because their lives are so, or in this case the goddess, because their lives are so short and they experience so much loss and they know that they are mortal and they will die, that they want there to be something on the other side. They want to like reunite with their friends and family. They want to have someone to like embrace them in that moment that they die. And then it's interesting because then Ison as well, as a dwarf, it's like they're longer lived, so maybe there's not that like such a fast turnover basically. And same for elves as well. Like Frieren, if you're alive for that long, it's just so different. But then we see the two sides here of like, you know, maybe if you are alive that long, then you want this like mystical being to have like been watching over you and know all the things that you've done, because you have outlived everyone else who ever knew, and you've seen people forget about all the things that you did. So that's like it's like a comfort thing basically.
Yeah. Again, it's having another elf with a similar perspective to Frieren is also very interesting after last episode with what we learned about how Frieren's life, like we got her whole backstory last episode, and the whole thing we talked a lot about last time, or I talked a lot about last time, of like the whole like 900 years essentially spent just in that forest.
Yeah.
You know, like it really changes. It changed it then, and it's interesting with that change of how we think about Frieren's past and her character, and the fact that she's not like this old soul with so much experience. She's like really mostly, especially on elf terms, a young person who, you know, for all intents and purposes, doesn't have as much experience as we thought going into the story originally. She wasn't living 1,000 years, like going off doing all these side quests. She was training by herself for 900 years. And then for, you know, more like 2 human lifetimes has been like exploring, but they changed it there. Now we meet this guy KRAFT, who, the way he talks about it and just like the way his presence feels very like, and just the things he says are just make it obvious that he is maybe like 5,000 years old or something. Like he is very old. Like, or
even if he's around the same, not that much older than her, he has been like actively living that whole time and engaging with other things. He's been making
the most of his life.
Because, like we said, like Frieren living in isolation for a long time kind of like stunted her growth process in a way, at least like socially and, you know, in dealing with other people. So it's interesting as well. We have the start of the episode. We have what's this guy's name again? We have him. Sorry.
Graf.
We have Graf and Frieren, and he's like, oh, well, to you, I must seem like a child. And she doesn't really deny that, basically.
Yeah.
And then in the end, we have Frieren get called young by KRAFT.
Yeah.
And he says, like, oh, you must be really young if you are having these opinions and behaving in this way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and just the way that he talks about his exploits is just like, yeah, everybody who knew that everything I did is dead. And Frieren, who is 1,000 years old, doesn't know who he is. So, and she obviously was trapped alone but like when she was in her elf village full of a bunch of other elves, they probably would have heard of something about that. You know, the fact that she doesn't know, the fact that he is completely it's as if that life was never lived from the perspective of everybody else that is alive right now is very interesting, because that it just makes him seem very, and yeah, just his whole personality, the fact that he is very humbled, you know. It's
also that even though they're both super, and there's probably other elves out and about, but none of them know each other, so like the Frieren and this guy have lived for at least 1,000 years each and had never met before this. And maybe they will meet again and maybe they won't. And it's this thing, it's like even if someone lives the same amount of time as you, if they're in a different place, then they will never remember you and maybe will never hear of you.
Yeah.
Just the nature of things.
But the fact that he is very religious is interesting. to me. Like, yeah, to live such a long life, to fill it with so much experience, and then to just like be alone at the end of all of it, it's just like you know, he's kind of going through a I'm forgetting the word that I want to use here, but a extended, that's not the right thing, but like an extended version of what Himmel or Heiter or whoever, all these, you know, what a human would go through. But over the span of like such a long life. And the fact that he's at the end being like, oh yeah, when I die, I hope that the goddess can speak. Is it weird that the goddess kind of looks like Frieren?
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, why does the goddess look literally exactly like Frieren?
And I was looking at their little shrine that was in the cabin that they were kind of praying to. And it's like there's the goddess and there's 4 little piggies. I thought there was 3 originally, and I was like, oh, that's weird that like Frieren and then her 3 buddies travel together, but there's a 4th one, maybe that's like Fern. But then what about Stark? He just doesn't get a statue. He's not important. But I wondered if there was some sort of allegory, if there's some sort of like not literal time looping or something like that, but sort of a like how Hinata in Haikyuu is like looking up to the little giant, like this sort of this spirit that they need to sort of embody eventually. At first, when I saw this, I was just like, okay, it's like clearly an elf-like thing. They got the pointy ears and whatever. But before this thing that I haven't even said yet. The first thing I thought, and with the music this episode, is it's reminding me increasingly more and more of Breath of the Wild with the music and like the goddess Hylia statue and stuff like that. And then I thought maybe like Flom was some sort of incarnation of the goddess spirit or something. But maybe Frieren is like an incarnation of the goddess spirit or something. Or maybe they're not literally incarnations, either of them. You know, like actual, the spirit of the goddess, but like the metaphorical spirit of the goddess, this like otherworldly being that's like destiny is to sort of manifest goodness in the world and be one with people and stuff like that. Like the idea behind, you know, a goddess figure and why you pray to it, and like, you know, the whole thing of like God made us in their image and all that type of thing. Like that type of idea maybe is what the story is getting at. Like the reason why they draw Frieren, or draw the goddess to look kind of like a sort of awakened, freer version of Frieren, like with the hair all the way down, still parted in a very similar way with like how her front bangs kind of are, all white clothing. It, like, the first thing I think most people will think when they see this is it looks like a balding Frieren, but
her forehead is so long.
But you know, I think that's on purpose. And because of Frieren's journey with not faith as a religious practice, but faith in humanity and faith in life and like living life and belief in life, is that's kind of her journey and understanding that. So the complete, and the fact that she's going to heaven, this person who is like disconnected from emotion from a fundamental standpoint, going through life, becoming one with people, learning how to feel, learning how to love, and then by the end of the story ends up in heaven. Reunited with the spirits of those who, like, you know, were able to awaken that spirit within her. Maybe once she gets there, she is like sort of like a messianic figure, and it will be. Maybe the story is setting up a literal thing of she is sort of like an incarnation of the goddess spirit without any memories, and maybe that's what Flom saw. Maybe Flom like knew that and then set all of this to like sort of fulfill a sort of prophecy or something like that. Some crazy otherworldly shit. But with the way the story is going, maybe it's not even that deep. Maybe it is. Maybe there's something to do with like a mythological aspect there. But I think the way that the story is tackling mythology and religion is it's much more of a, it's much more about like the practice itself than for like an otherworldly magical thing. It's like, well, it's the way that religion is in real life for like the average person who like goes to church. Like they are immersed in the scripture. They're more about the community, you know, it's all about like bringing people together type thing, and like and being present in life and like upholding values that you value.
It's also like at this point we have heard a bunch about like the goddess, but there has never been any actual, like, the story isn't going out of its way to like prove to us as the audience that all of this is completely founded in reality. There is a goddess there. We're seeing it through the perspective of people who believe to varying degrees and for different reasons. So I think that's interesting as well. And also it keeps pointing out, like, it kind of doesn't really matter whether or not there is or isn't a goddess, because it's
what matters is the people. It's
like, while you're alive, if you believe that and that helps you, then good for you, basically. And you know, it, like, no one's saying like, oh, if you don't believe in the goddess, then she'll beat the shit out of you and send you to hell after you die. You know, it's like we and like the main, like, the first religious guy that we meet, he's like, like, his whole thing is like, he's a corrupt priest, and he's like drinking and like, you know, being like not like the pinnacle of a holy man, but he is still doing good things, and he's opening up orphanages, and, you know, part of that is like, he keeps saying like, oh, well, this will secure my place in heaven and this and that, but also it's kind of just because he's a good person and would probably be doing that anyway.
Mm-hmm. I also liked when he was talking to Frieren, he was just like, I hope my, you know, daughter one day will be a mage. Mm-hmm. And then she's just like, I thought priests could marry, you fucking pervert. And he's like, kind of, you know, connecting that back together. But yeah, and I, you know, there's the obvious thing with the religion where it does seem to be, you know, more about Frieren's growth as a person than it is about her growth towards some sort of prophecy of her, like, being this goddess figure or something, or literally like being this incarnation of this person, of this figure, of this religious figure. But is because it's a world of magic and mystery, and they're going literally to heaven. They're going through the Demon King's domain, literally through hell to get to heaven. This whole, like, you know, very shonen-y sort of roadmap. And, you know, so maybe there is, maybe the reason why they're not going so into the goddess is to leave room for Frieren to, maybe that is the plan for, like, the actual thing that's going to happen, the literal events that Frieren might, like, be growing towards this thing. But maybe not. You know, we'll know. I think it'll become more clear what the direction is as it's going forward. At this point in the story, it's really hard to tell, because it might be just introducing this right now, and then 20 chapters down the line, they kind of fill it out a little bit more, and it might just be a very slow burn thing. Or it might be nothing at all. It might just be metaphorical. But either way, it's very good. And this episode, I feel like one thing that, like, focusing on KRAFT being a monk here, it very much, like, there, like you said earlier on the discussion, like, the religious aspect was always there with, like, other characters, but I didn't think that it was going to be, like, I feel like going back to it with this guy makes it, and this episode makes it a more of a it locks it in as, like, a persistent thing throughout the series. It's not just these characters from her past are talking about these kind of ideals because they're humans and because they're this and that. The fact that there's an elf that relates to her in a way that other people kind of can't, not even, like, Aura could, or other demons could, even though they live a long time as well. The fact that we have this guy who also is religious, you know, just bringing another angle. It's like, that's like a pattern is forming now that seems to be integral to the series at large, is what I'm saying. And I don't know how to say this name. I know that's not is that a B?
I can't remember how it sounded when they
it's
said
like
it.
Alst or something like that. I don't know. Maybe put the phonetics in the however you say it in the comments.
Yeah, so now they have to go there to get certified. I feel like her being Frieren should just be certification enough. Like, and it's also like, what are they gonna do? Stop her? How can they stop her?
I mean, they tried this time. It was just her compassion and her morals that kept her from, like, going all Kaguya from Naruto on all those guards. But I love how it was that holy emblem, was that, like, supposed to be her old certification that she got from her last thing? And it's just like, I doubt this works anymore. And Friend's just like, what the fuck is that? It's like,
I also love Fern being proactive and just like, yeah, I have my certification.
I got my certification.
Like,
I stopped.
She's like, you don't have your driver's license?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
What do you mean? Like, I went and got this months ago.
I guess there was a DMV in that old city we were in that one time. That's what
so
you were
funny.
doing.
And I love like the whole thing of like the introduction of KRAFT, of him just being like weird, but they don't take it too far that he's just like a total, like they're like, there's a perv in there, but they don't take it too far that he just like actually is like just like this super creepy weird dude.
Yeah, they didn't make him like overly gay or something,
or just like, weirdly like he's just kind of a weird guy, but like mostly just normal. And
yeah,
fine.
I thought that when I wasn't really afraid, but I know that like a lesser show would have, when Stark woke up like in his bed or whatever, they would have played up like KRAFT sort of like, oh, I just wanted to cuddle with a you have such a nice body yourself, young man. I just wanted to lay down with you, and like kind of farm that. But the most that happened was Stark was like, you're fucking jacked, dude. Hey, like type thing. And that's as far as they went with it. I'm glad that they didn't like make it all weird, because I hate when shows do stuff like that. Sometimes it's funny, but like many times it's kind of like you don't need to do this.
Well, I think what happens is it becomes the same joke over and over, becomes like the whole character's personality, but then there is so much more to him than just being the weird guy who's just doing squats in the room by himself.
Mm-hmm. A cynical part of me, whenever I meet somebody like KRAFT in a story, the cynical part of me is always like, this guy is like, he's creepy. Like there's something he's hiding. Like maybe it's my, after Invincible, any like quasi immortal person who's like
just pretending to be all chill.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, and it's actually before Invincible. That's just a recent example, because like obviously in Invincible we kind of saw it coming for exact reason. But whenever there's us, and that's why I second guessed Flom last episode. It's like, oh, so you hate demons and you stumbled on an elf village with a literal superhero in the making. Who has the potential to eradicate anything that you want if you, and she's young, so you can sort of like, you can say whatever you want to her and teach her, and you're this genius, but you're tortured by the fact that you live a human life, and like all that stuff. It's whenever like, oh, the very contented, extremely powerful being is like smiling and like, but kind of maybe nudging things in the background towards how they want. They have an agenda.
So it's like how we were talking about with like the demons, how like demons were one thing and then over time like became another thing.
Yes.
And then how it's like so many times the big plot twist or the big reveal is like this guy or the Flom person secretly being evil. Like that's just so often the twist that
you can't help but read that.
You can't help but like be conscious of like that pattern that happens often. But then again, this show has a habit of kind of not doing like the more modern take or the more like crazier
postmodern take on everything.
But I really like this episode because it was just so simple and really nothing happened, and it's like this is how like This is like I feel like a very genuine just like slice of life episode. Like they were just straight chilling the entire
for 6
time.
months in the winter.
Even when Stark was all frozen, like there wasn't any stakes there. He was gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It just felt so relaxing, but still so engaging the entire time.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I like that, like with the Stark thing is a good example. It was just kind of comedy, but also like convenient is a strong word, but it was a reason for them to do this for 6 months in here. The fact that they got caught in this blizzard. My point is the story. It doesn't play with your emotions. Like it doesn't play with you. Like whatever. And I feel like that's what's really relaxing about the series, despite it having a lot of like especially the last few episodes with that little arc, actiony, like a lot of beautiful, crazy animation and insanely well-made fights like Stark versus the dragon and stuff. It can have it both ways, and it's it's very, despite it being very action heavy in a lot of points so far, and I know that that's apparently more of the anime, but it's very relaxing show because it doesn't do the things that we are constantly expecting. So like we're over here like afraid that there's gonna be this other shoe's gonna drop or something, some crazy thing's gonna happen, and maybe it will, but so far it's like everything that's happened has been like more mundane than we thought, but not in a boring way. Not in a more boring way. Yeah, and that's very refreshing because it feels like you don't have to be sort of on edge predicting everything all the time, which is good for some series. That's why I love Jujutsu, is because there's constantly like, what's the other angle here? Like, what's going on? You're trying to like take context clues from people's powers and like different things that they say and how that could be interpreted from different perspectives, and like trying to like read things in a different light and like trying to look at things from different angles.
So many people are trying to have like the next big plot twist, or like a cliffhanger on every episode, or just things to help like the story maybe, and not like you were just talking about Jujutsu, not necessarily that, but just so many things. It's like people's attention spans are like very short these days, so it's like trying to like keep giving people like the next hit of what they want, which is like a mystery or action or excitement or a reveal or like a hint at a reveal. It's like keeping it very simple like this it's just so refreshing, and I feel so good when I watch this show, and I feel like it's the kind of show like people always talk about like, oh, like this is my comfort show, or like you know when you like rewatch something because you know what's gonna happen and you know that it's kind of gonna be okay and you're gonna like it. It's like that is like almost how I feel, but watching this show for the first time, it like already feels very comforting, and like I'm just able to just so enjoy the story. And even though they're not like dropping crazy stuff all over the time, we still have a big discussion every time because there's so many little things to talk about with like just the way that it's made and like the journeys that the characters are on. It's just such a beautiful story, and I love it. And I'm so happy like after last time when we were like, oh, the show's almost over, and then everyone is like, no, actually this is a 28 episodes
not even
long.
half over.
It's like, I'm so glad, and I'm also so glad,
or a little over half over.
I'm so glad that like the show, it's popular, like people are watching it.
It's getting higher rating. It got higher ratings than Attack on Titan's final thing. Which isn't.
I'm not surprised.
It's
not
not super
that.
surprising, but it's Attack on Titan, and it was above that in terms of ratings,
above
Jujutsu.
I'm just so happy about it because I feel like a lot of times, you know, if you find a show. Not necessarily like this, because this is kind of different than a lot of things, but shows that we really like I don't know, like that are maybe a little bit slower, like Clannad or Fruits Basket, or like some of these shows that we watch, and then there's just not a ton, like they're so well loved by the people that love them, but there's just not a lot of hype around it. And I feel like this is so appropriately hyped that you to a level that you almost never see. That it's like, this show is so good, and then people are like everyone is like, this show is so good, but it's not like, oh, this one fight was so crazy you have to watch this show. It's like, no, this show is just good. You know. I love it.
It's great. The more I look at the guy's nose in this shot, the more it kind of, I don't know what to think about it. It feels like it's on backwards. Does that make sense?
I don't want to look at that anymore.
Like, it feels like the shadow's being cast to the side because it needs to be, but also that's supposed to be the front of his nose. So his nose is like way off to the side. But again, if it was flipped the other way, it would look good, but then the shadow would be towards us, and that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know what happened with this nose here. It only looks bad when you stare at it. But it looks weird. Anyway. Good stuff. And leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment, you said?
I was going to say leave a like and subscribe, because I thought we were done, but then you were going to say something.
I forget what exactly I was going to say. What was it? Oh, it's just always good when, especially at just piggybacking off of what you said, like at doing reaction series is difficult sometimes because like what you want what you really want to like invest yourself into is not what it would do well. And it's unfortunate when that thing happens, but it's very fortunate when like all the stars align, and that's been happening more and more this year. And it happened with Jujutsu. After our rewatch, it happened, and we got this like it's so good when like things are performing well, because you love the show as much as everybody else loves the show, and you know, you're able to like, if you have criticisms, you feel free to share them, but you always honestly don't have that many because the show is just so well done. And then the reception is so good because just everything just aligns, and because, you know, we're being more analytical of a channel and more critical and more more freely negative, because I think the sword cuts both ways when you want to like analyze something. Sometimes you analyze something, and if it's bad, the analysis is going to turn out bad. Or like if something is rough, then there's going to be negative things. So you really need to, if you're going to go in with that mindset, you need to pick your battles, basically, is what we've learned over the years. And it's always a big decision for us, I think, more than other channels, when we pick something to watch, because we will apply the same level of scrutiny to, and relatively speaking, depending on our expectations, to everything. So, you know, we're basically a filter that the show goes through, and then we say something based on our experience, etc., etc. That's what a reaction channel is. So, it just feels very good when the thing being put through that filter is, you know, when we can put something out that, you know, we don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to be received well, because the show is just really good. And when all those things kind of align, when, you know, our expectations, our enjoyment, and the show's quality, and the, you know, the audience reception to the show because it's really popular, and, you know, just everything, when everything really aligns, it's really good. And this show's given us a lot of good experiences with that. I'm just sorry that it keeps getting taken down the day after it's posted. I'm still trying to get all of those up, but I've been waiting for the right time to do all that. Anyway, behind the scenes stuff. Anyway, any last thing you want to say?
Leave a like, subscribe. You can check out our Patreon to get uncuts for this.
Uncuts for all the previous episodes if you can't find them on YouTube.
Yeah. Bye-bye.